This film begins with a scene where a blind girl named Ichi is being forced into something she doesn't want. However, Ichi is not an ordinary girl. She is a skilled swordsman, even though 2 of her fingers were partially cut off. Ichi was born without knowing her parents and has been blind since birth. Fortunately, she was found and saved by a legendary blind samurai named Zatoichi, who later became like a father to her. As Ichi grew up, Zatoichi entrusted her to a group called Gazhe, which is an association of female shamisen players. Every day, Ichi practiced hard to play the shamisen. Even though Zatoichi left her there, he often visited secretly to teach her swordsmanship, preparing Ichi to face the harsh realities of life. As Ichi continued to grow, Zatoichi visited her less and less. One day, before he left for good, Zatoichi gave Ichi a bell so she would always remember him. The Gazhe group traveled from house to house, making a living by playing the shamisen. Over time, Ichi grew into a beautiful woman who excelled at playing the shamisen and became an expert swordsman. Even though Zatoichi no longer visited her, Ichi continued to train and improve her sword skills. One day, something happened that changed Ichi's life. When the Gazhe group was invited to perform music, a man kept staring at her. After the performance, the man, who was related to the person who invited them, forced Ichi. This happened because the man saw an opportunity. Because of this incident, Ichi was kicked out by the Gazhe leader who had cared for her since she was a child. In the Gazhe group, female members are strictly forbidden from being with men or getting married. If they break this rule, they will be expelled from the group. After being expelled, Ichi went to the man who hurt her. She asked him to talk to the Gazhe leader so she could return to the group. Instead of helping her, the man laughed at her and tried to hurt her again. At that time, Ichi, who had begged not to be touched, couldn't control herself. She quickly drew her sword hidden in her staff and killed the man. After that, since she couldn't go back to the group, Ichi wandered from city to city looking for Zatoichi. Right now, Ichi was with a friend named Mitsu, who was also expelled for working part-time as a provider of sexual services. On their journey, they stopped at a temple and thought about their bad luck. Mitsu kept trying to convince Ichi to become a provider of sexual services like her because she thought the job was easy and made money. Not long after, a man came to the temple and something surprising happened. He tried to leave without paying her. At that moment, Mitsu was beaten by the man and his 2 friends. Then the 3 men approached Ichi, who was sitting alone. Ichi almost drew her sword, but suddenly a traveler came to save her. The traveler gave money to the 3 men, but the money made them even angrier, and they wanted to kill the traveler, who was named Toma Fujihira. Toma had to fight, but he couldn't draw his sword from its sheath. Finally, Ichi stepped forward and fought the 3 men without mercy. It turned out that the 3 men were members of a robbery gang called Banki. Soon after, Ichi continues her journey to find Zatoichi and has to leave Mitsu because they have different beliefs. Toma, who is always acting silly, keeps following her. They arrive in a town called Bitu, where they meet a little boy named Kotaro who helps them find a place to stay. However, Ichi is actually looking for a gambling place. At the gambling place, Toma is the one gambling. Meanwhile, Ichi looks for information about Zatoichi, but no one knows him. This gambling place is owned by the Shirakawa clan, a Yakuza group that controls the city of Bitu. At first, Toma keeps losing at dice games, while others around him keep winning. In the last round, with his last bit of money, Ichi helps Toma guess the result of the dice, and they win. Besides her sword skills, Ichi also has good gambling instincts, probably inherited from Zatoichi. In the end, Toma wins a lot of money, but because Ichi leaves, he leaves too. At that time, Ichi was just paying back Toma, who had previously paid the 3 robbers who were bothering her. Soon after, some people who were gambling next to Toma chased them because he won a lot and left immediately while they lost a lot. Since Toma only avoids the fight, Ichi finishes them all off quickly. After some time, more people come to them. These people are the gambling owners and part of the Shirakawa clan Yakuza. One of them is Taraji, the son of the Yakuza leader, and the people Ichi defeated were actually part of the Banki gang, who always caused trouble in Bitu. Because Toma is thought to have defeated all the Banki gang members, Taraji respectfully calls him sensei and offers him a job as his samurai bodyguard with a very good salary. Even though he is a little hesitant, Toma finally accepts the offer. Luckily, Ichi tells Kotaro not to reveal the truth to Taraji. Next, Ichi went to Kotaro's house, while Toma went to Taraji's house. At Kotaro's house, his father was drunk, but he was a good person. Ichi would stay at Kotaro's house temporarily while helping him find work. After learning that Ichi's main goal was to look for Zatoichi, Kotaro's father reminded Ichi of her goal. Afraid that she would be distracted by the beauty of the city and forget to look for Zatoichi. Meanwhile, Toma was welcomed and treated well at the Shirakawa residence. He really hoped to defeat the Banki gang, who were disturbing the peace of Bitu. Taraji even invited the Gaze group to entertain him, which included Ichi, through Kotaro's father, who was one of the loyal servants of the Shirakawa clan. While they were having fun, the Banki gang, who found the bodies of their members, began planning to take revenge on Toma, who they thought was the perpetrator, but it was actually Ichi. The Banki gang are former samurai who are angry at the government for abandoning them. The leader of the Banki gang is a strong and violent Ronin named Banki, who wears a mask over his right eye. Whoever sees him without the mask ends up dead. This was proven when his right-hand man, Izo, hired an entertainer for him. There, Izo told the hostess to close her eyes when with Banki and warned her not to look at his face. However, the blindfold was not put on tightly, and out of curiosity, the woman did not obey Izo's warning. Sure enough, when the blindfold fell, the woman screamed hysterically upon seeing Banki's face and was immediately killed by Banki. The next day, Toma overheard a conversation between Taraji and his father, Chobi Shirakawa, the leader of the Shirakawa Yakuza clan. Taraji quickly introduced Toma to his father. Even though they had different opinions, it was clear that Chobi loved his son very much. Later, Toma met Ichi, who was fishing by a calm river. They had a small argument because they had different views on helping people. Ichi, who is very powerful, doesn't want to help just anyone because she is blind and afraid of being tricked. Toma, on the other hand, believes in helping everyone. Toma then challenged Ichi to a duel using wooden sticks instead of swords. Surprisingly, Toma, who seemed weak and silly, won the fight. Ichi's hand was bruised from his hard blow, so Toma gave her a cloth to use as a bandage. In this quiet moment, Toma started to share his past. He was born into the Odaka clan as the son of a great samurai and was very skilled in their sword techniques. However, one day, Toma accidentally broke his sword and injured his mother's eye, causing her to become permanently blind. After this incident, Toma was deeply saddened and traumatized. He found it difficult to draw his sword and often couldn't even remove it from the sheath, despite being a great samurai. After his mother died, Toma left home, passing the family's dojo to his father's best student. He then wandered, searching for the meaning of life. A few days later, in another place, Shirakawa held a welcoming party for law enforcement officers led by a man named Hashu. The goal was to scare the Banki gang so they would stop causing trouble in Bitu and to provide entertainment for the public. But soon, the Banki gang showed up to attack. At that time, Izo warned Hashu to stay out of the city's affairs, threatening that he would never be able to come back if he interfered. During the chaos, Toma arrived, but as usual, he couldn't draw his sword and was badly injured. Fortunately, he was still alive. Izo then stabbed Chobi, who was trying to protect Taraji, and Chobi died in front of his son. When Izo was about to take Toma, thinking he was the killer of their gang members, Ichi suddenly appeared. She offered herself, admitting that she was the one who killed several Banki gang members. Izo didn't believe her at first and underestimated her because she was blind. Then, he ordered his men to test her skills. To everyone's surprise, Ichi's swordsmanship amazed Izo, and he finally believed her. Ichi was then taken to Banki's headquarters. There, she was ordered to fight more of Banki's men. Although they underestimated her at first, they were stunned by her skills. Finally, Banki himself stood up to fight her. There, Banki proved to be much stronger than Ichi. She was left helpless and resigned. During this time, Ichi learned a painful truth. Turns out, a person named Zatoichi she had been searching for had died from an illness. Banki regretted this too because, although Zatoichi died during their duel, he wasn't killed by Banki, but by his own illness. The next day, members of the Shirakawa clan were annoyed with Toma, who they thought was just pretending to be tough. However, Taraji still gave him a chance to defeat the Banky gang, hoping that Toma could actually do it, and still called him sensei. That evening, Toma went to the Banky gang headquarters with Kotaro. Toma managed to free Ichi and had set up explosives to help them escape. They got away and Toma took Ichi to a temple to rest. In the quiet night, Ichi woke up and told Toma about her past, including her search for Zatoichi. She still wasn't sure if Zatoichi was her father, as he had cared for her when she was a baby before handing her over to the Gaze group. Now, with the news of Zatoichi's death, Ichi's uncertainty about her identity deepened. Her sadness touched Toma, who spontaneously hugged her tightly with love. Ichi's heart began to melt and she felt calmer, realizing that she still had Toma who cared for her. The next day, Toma left while Ichi was still asleep. He went to help the Shirakawa clan prepare to fight the Banky gang. Meanwhile, Taraji, the heir to the Shirakawa clan, led his troops despite having an injured arm. When the Banky gang arrived, a fierce battle began. Unfortunately, Toma still couldn't draw his sword due to his trauma, so he hid while others fought. During the fight, Taraji managed to kill Izo, avenging his father's death. Even though many fighters fell, the Banky gang still had more members, and their leader was still strong. As the time goes by, people started questioning Toma's whereabouts. Just as Taraji was about to duel with Banky, Toma stepped in to replace him. With a determined look, Toma faced Banky. This time, he began to control his emotions and, slowly but surely, managed to draw his sword, starting the duel. At the same time, while the fight was happening elsewhere, Ichi was awakened by Kotaro, who told her about the battle between the Shirakawa clan and the Banky gang. Despite her injury, Ichi hurried towards Bida City Center to catch up with Toma. On the other hand, Toma managed to injure and corner Banky. He even stabbed him, leaving the gang leader nearly dead and motionless. However, Toma also fell, wounded in the stomach. At that moment, Ichi arrived with Kotaro. She walked slowly with her cane to Toma, who was dying. In his final moments, Toma apologized to Ichi and encouraged her to continue living. Shortly after, he died in her arms, leaving behind many memories. The emotional moment was interrupted when Banky suddenly got up again. With tears in her eyes, Ichi managed to slash Banky's head. Seeing their leader dead, the remaining members of the Banky gang fled, never daring to return to Bitu. At the end of the film, the city of Bitu has recovered from the chaos. Taraji rebuilt the city and took over as head of the Shirakawa clan Yakuza in place of his father. Meanwhile, Ichi played a song that was once sung at Taraji's home. Together with Kotaro, they buried Toma's body. After that, Ichi planned to continue her journey to the Odaka clan, the samurai clan of Toma's family, to bury his sword at his mother's grave as a tribute. At that time, Kotaro was very sad because he wanted Ichi to stay and be his mother. Before leaving, she gave Kotaro a small bell as a keepsake. The blind swordsman departed peacefully, leaving behind the city that gave her both sweet and bitter memories. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if your new buddy carries a sword, you better not play hide and seek with them because they might just slice the wrong piñata.